Good morning Year 4 and welcome to Wednesday's maths lesson. Here is your Fluent in 5 today. So in a second, if you can pause, give yourself 5 minutes on a timer and then pause the video and have a go at these questions, and we'll go through the answers in a second. So here are the answers to today's Fluent in 5. The first one, 8 multiplied by 8. Hopefully you were able to work that out, 64. If you weren't sure of your 8 times table, you could have used your 4 times table or your 2 times table to help you with that. The next question, 74 divided by 5. I'm just going to go through that with you because we didn't cover much of long division before Christmas, and just to give you a bit of a refresher on that. So 74 divided by 5. Now remember, we start off with the biggest part of the number when we are doing division. And so I'm going to start off by sharing 7 tens equally into 5 groups. How many of them can I share into 5 groups? Well, I know that I can share 5 of them into 5 groups, and each group will have 1 10. So that uses up 5 of my 7 tens, and I'm left with 2 tens. I can't share 2 tens into 5 groups, but I can regroup them for 20 ones, and I can add the other 4 ones. So now I'm going to share 24 ones into 5 groups, and I want to make equal groups. So I know my 5 times table, my multiples of 5, that if I have 24 ones, I can share 20 of them equally into 5 groups, and that there will be 4 in each group. That means I'll have 4 ones left over, and I can't share them into 5 groups equally. So the answer is 14 remainder 4. Now the answer on this sheet is wrong. Hopefully you'll have picked that up. The next one, 2/3 of 21. Well, we are going to be doing more work on fractions soon. And just as a reminder, hopefully you'll have worked this out, but we have spoken about finding 1/3 first of 21, which is like dividing it by 3, which would be 7. So therefore 2/3 would be 2 times 7, which is 14. And then finally, 584 plus 248. Hopefully you were able to use a column method to work that out at 832. So on to today's learning. You've had quite a lot of work from the practice books to do this week. So please use today's lesson to catch up with any of the activities that you might not have had time to complete. If there was anything you weren't sure about, you can re-watch the videos. And if you're happy with everything that we've covered and you've carried out all of the work, then we've got some of the challenging practice and additional activities from your Inspire practice books. So here is the challenging practice question. And then we have an activity for you to carry out. Our Let's Explore and Put Your Thinking Caps On. So they should keep you quite busy. Take your time and have a go at those. Pause the video because I'll go through the answers in a second. So make sure that you've completed all of the work first to check that you're on track. You can then unpause it and check your answers. So here is the challenging practice question. Ty plants a small tree in his garden. It grows 2 centimetres every time it rains. He wants to keep track of how much it grows. He draws a picture graph to show how much taller his tree grows every month. So this picture graph shows the information, and then we have a bar graph on this side of the page. Now it's important to look at the picture graph, all of the information. So the title of his picture graph is The Amount Ty's Tree Grows Over 5 Months. We have the 5 months listed here, and then on the bottom there is a key. So each leaf stands for 2 centimetres. So you need to work out how many there are and then remembering that each one stands for 2 centimetres, you'll have to multiply the number of leaves by 2. So using the information on the picture graph on page 75, which is this one, fill in the boxes to show the amount Ty's tree grows in each of the months. So in May we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now there are 18 of them, but we have to remember that each one stands for 2 centimetres. So therefore in May, the tree grew 36 centimetres. And so on. So June it grew 24 centimetres because we have 12 leaves here. July was also 24 centimetres. Again, we have 12 leaves and you can see they're the same. We have 9 in August, which means they grew 18 centimetres. And finally, there are 7 in September, which means that it grew 14 centimetres. Then we needed to complete the bar graph with the same information. So remember, it's just a different way of showing the data. And hopefully if you can see the picture for that, you were able to see that September, you needed to mark in 14 centimetres. And it was really important that you paid attention to the scale on the side. You could see that 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, etc. So it's going up in 4s. So each of the mark in between represents 2. And then we had to interpret some of the data. In which months did his tree grow by 24 centimetres? So we could use the picture graph to work that out, or we could use the bar graph. You'd look at the scale and look for 24 centimetres and then follow it across. Now it's important to keep going because you can see that there are actually 2 months where the tree grew 24 centimetres. We've got June and July. Which month in the bar graph is incorrectly drawn? So we've got to find an error here. So that means that we have to check all of the amounts. So we can see that May, the tree grew 36 centimetres, which is correct. June and July, we already know, are 24 centimetres. August, if we follow that up, it goes up to 20 centimetres. But we know from the picture graph that we've already worked out that that should be 18 centimetres. So we know that August is incorrectly drawn. Should I stop there? No, I want to just double check that we have drawn September correctly, up to 14 centimetres. And even if you think you've found the answer to something, you should always carry on checking just to double check that there isn't another one that's incorrectly drawn or that you haven't made a mistake. How much taller did his tree grow in June than September? So this is when we need to be looking at 2 amounts and we're comparing them. June, it grew 24 centimetres. And in September, it grew 14 centimetres. So we're comparing the 2 amounts. We have to subtract to work out the difference. And we can see that 24 from June, 14 from September means that the difference is 10 centimetres. And how many fewer times did it rain in September than in June? So this is where we have to go back to the original information, and it tells us it grows 2 centimetres every time it rains. So what we need to do is look at September and look at how much it grew, which is 14 centimetres. So that tells me that it rained 7 times, because if it's growing 2 centimetres every time it rains, I know that 2 times 7 is 14, so it rained 7 times. In June, it grew 24 centimetres, and I know that 2 times 12 is 24, so I know that it rained 12 times in June, and 7 in September, so it rained 5 fewer times in September than it did in June. So here are your answers to the activity. you were recording your answers in a graph. And in the Let's Explored, you had to write your own questions. The answers vary. So here are a few examples that I've written. How many books were borrowed on Wednesday? On which day were the least books borrowed? Which day was the library busiest? But you may have had your own sensible questions to go with that bar graph as well. And maybe you could have challenged someone at home, one of your siblings or a parent, to try and answer those questions. So to put your thinking caps on, you're to read the following information. The number of children wearing shoes with buckles is 18. There are 7 more children wearing shoes with laces than slip-on shoes. There are 10 fewer children wearing slip-on shoes than shoes with buckles. So this is when we have to really think about all the pieces of information that you're given, read it again, take your time, work out one piece of information at a time. And then you had to work out which bar graph showed all the information correctly. So first of all, I would go back to this information. And I noticed that it said there are 10 fewer children wearing slip-on shoes than with shoes with buckles. And I know that in the first sentence, the number of children wearing shoes with buckles is 18. So I've got 18 here for shoes with buckles. And then I now know there are 10 fewer children wearing slip-on shoes than shoes with buckles. So I know that there are 8 children wearing slip-on shoes. There are 7 more children wearing shoes with laces than slip-on shoes. I now know that there are 8 children wearing slip-on shoes. So I know that the children wearing shoes with laces, 7 more is 15. So I have 18 wearing shoes with buckles, 15 wearing shoes with laces, and 8 wearing slip-on shoes. So then a case of checking the bar graphs carefully. Slip-on shoes, going to the end and looking down at the scale, I can see that that's 9, so that's immediately incorrect. Bar graph B, we have 8 wearing slip-on shoes, buckle shoes is 18, and laces is 15. So this one looks correct, but as always, I would still check bar graph C just to double check that I have got this correct. And straight away I go to slip-on shoes and I can see that there are 5, so that is incorrect. So well done if you work that out correctly.